The NFL just witnessed a seismic shift, folks. The Detroit Lions didn't just beat the Dallas Cowboys, they obliterated them in a shocking 47-9 blowout. Is this the end of the Cowboys as we know them? Or can America's team bounce back from this devastating loss? Stick around as we break down this game-changing matchup and ask the burning question, is Dallas fixable, or are we watching the rise of a new NFL powerhouse in Detroit? You won't want to miss this. Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a diehard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. We're diving into a game that has everyone talking, the Detroit Lions' jaw-dropping 47-9 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. Grab your coffee, settle in, and let's unpack this wild matchup that has shaken up the NFL landscape. Let's set the scene. Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. The Lions, coming off a strong start to their season, were hosting America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. On paper, this should have been a close, competitive game between two playoff contenders. Instead, what we witnessed was nothing short of a football massacre. On the other side of the ball, the Lions' defense came to feast. They made Dak Prescott's life a living nightmare, sacking him 6 times and forcing 3 interceptions. The vaunted Cowboys' offensive line, once considered the gold standard of the NFL, looked more like a revolving door. Aiden Hutchinson, in particular, was a man possessed, notching 3 sacks and seemingly living in the Dallas backfield. Now, let's talk about those Cowboys. Where do we even begin? This wasn't just a loss. It was a complete and utter meltdown on national television. The offense that had been humming along all season suddenly looked lost and disjointed. Prescott, who's been in the MVP conversation, had arguably the worst game of his career. He was hesitant, inaccurate, and made poor decisions under pressure. The running game, usually a strength for Dallas, was non-existent. Tony Pollard, who's been so dynamic this season, was held to just 35 yards on 12 carries. It was as if the Lions' defensive front had built a brick wall at the line of scrimmage, and the Cowboys couldn't find a way through it. But perhaps the most alarming aspect of this Cowboys collapse was their defense. This unit, which had been touted as one of the best in the league, was absolutely shredded. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't pressure the quarterback, and looked completely lost in coverage. It was a far cry from the dominant force we've seen in previous weeks. So, the burning question on everyone's mind, is Dallas fixable? Can they bounce back from such a demoralizing defeat? The short answer is yes, but it's going to take some serious soul-searching and adjustments. Let's break down the areas where the Cowboys need to improve if they want to salvage their season and remain in the playoff hunt. First and foremost, they need to address their offensive line issues. The protection for Prescott was abysmal, and it threw off the entire rhythm of their offense. Whether it's through schematic changes or personnel adjustments, they need to shore up that front 5. Perhaps it's time to consider bringing in some veteran help or shuffling the lineup. Secondly, the Cowboys need to get back to their offensive identity. They've been at their best when they have a balanced attack, but against the Lions, they abandoned the run far too quickly. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore needs to show more patience and creativity in his play calling, especially when they fall behind early. On the defensive side, coordinator Dan Quinn has some serious work to do. The lack of pressure on Goff was alarming, and their usually stout run defense was gashed repeatedly. They need to find ways to generate more pressure without sacrificing coverage, perhaps by using more creative blitz packages or giving more snaps to their young, explosive defensive linemen. But beyond the X's and O's, there's a mental aspect that the Cowboys need to address. This loss exposed some serious cracks in their foundation. The body language on the sideline was concerning, with players looking dejected and frustrated. Head coach Mike McCarthy needs to rally his troops and remind them of the talent they possess. It's one game, albeit a horrific one, but it doesn't define their season. Let's not forget, this is still a team loaded with talent. They have playmakers on both sides of the ball, and they've shown flashes of brilliance this season. What they need now is leadership, accountability, and a short memory. The great teams in NFL history have all faced adversity. It's how they respond that defines them. Now, we can't talk about this game without giving massive credit to the Detroit Lions. This victory wasn't just a fluke or a case of the Cowboys having a bad day. The Lions outplayed, outcoached, and flat-out dominated in every phase of the game. Head coach Dan Campbell has built something special in the Motor City, and it's time we start taking them seriously as contenders in the NFC. Jared Goff's renaissance continues to be one of the best stories in the NFL this season. Written off by many after his trade from the Rams, Goff has found new life in Detroit. He's playing with confidence, making smart decisions, and utilizing all of his weapons effectively. If he can maintain this level of play, the Lions are going to be a tough out for anyone. The emergence of their young talent has been crucial to their success. Amon-Ra St. Brown is quickly becoming one of the best receivers in the league, while rookie running back Jahmyr Gibbs is proving to be a dynamic weapon in both the run and pass game. On defense, Aiden Hutchinson is living up to his draft hype, anchoring a unit that's playing with swagger and intensity. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of the Lions' success is the culture that Dan Campbell has instilled. This team plays with a chip on its shoulder, embracing the underdog mentality that has defined Detroit sports for years. They're tough, they're resilient, and they're not afraid of anyone. It's a far cry from the Lions teams of old that would often wilt under pressure. As we look ahead to the rest of the season, this game could prove to be a pivotal moment for both franchises. For the Lions, it's a statement win that puts the rest of the league on notice. They're no longer the pushovers of the NFC North. They're legitimate contenders with their sights set on a deep playoff run. For the Cowboys, this is a crossroads. How they respond to this humiliation will define their season. Will they use it as motivation to improve and come back stronger? Or will it be the beginning of a downward spiral that derails their playoff hopes? The talent is there, but talent alone doesn't win championships in the NFL. For Dallas, the road to redemption starts now. They have the talent and the resources to turn things around, but it will take a collective effort from players, coaches, and management. The Cowboys have faced adversity before, and they've often come out stronger for it. But this loss feels different, more profound, more concerning. How they respond will tell us everything we need to know about the true character of this team. As for the Lions, the challenge now is to prove that this wasn't a fluke. They've shown they can play with the big boys. Now they need to show they can do it consistently. If they can maintain this level of play, we might be looking at a new powerhouse in the NFC.